Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Khordmaster Keys. In today's episode, I had a chance to talk to the extremely talented and funny and talented, I already said talented, Matt Buechele. I think that's how you pronounce your name. If not, let me know and maybe I'll record another intro, but probably not. All right, what did we talk about? We had a conversation about being a comedy writer in New York City, about finding his lane from like being a musician to now incorporating comedy into what his main offering is on his social medias, which are extremely funny. My favorite one that he did, I'll probably post a link to it below, is about... it's making me laugh just thinking about it. Like how Americans just love these... I won't even do it justice. Just watch the link when you get a second. He's a really, really talented and thoughtful individual, and I'm gracious and thankful and appreciative of the fact that he took his time out. He took some time out to chat with me on my platform. Very excited about being able to share this conversation with you guys. We also found out that we're both Super Smash Brothers fans on the Switch, and we're going to probably play each other online at some point in the hopefully near future. And maybe we'll grab lunch or coffee or something one day as well, because I'm in Jersey, he's in New York. So I think I might have just found a new friend. I mean, how exciting is that? I have a new friend, guys. Okay. Watch the interview, enjoy it. Let me know your favorite or least favorite part below in the comments, and I will see you guys on the next one. How's your day going today? How are you?
The day is going well. It's a little chilly here in New York. Where are you? I know you're
New Jersey. Yep.
You're in New Jersey?
So right.
Okay, so yeah. It's a little chilly today, but it's been a good day. I just got back from the coffee shop, was trying to do some writing, which is always hit or miss. I tried to make a video, it didn't work. And now here I am talking to you. It's a good day. How's yours?
Awesome. Sounds very similar. I was at a cafe as well. That's been like my favorite thing to do lately. Yeah. I do music like you do, so I have mobile music equipment that I love bringing to these different cafes and stuff that I visit. So yeah, very similar to your day.
So you're like mixing at a cafe, or what are you doing?
Dude, yeah. Let me go ahead and show you that. I actually just took a picture today, and I love connecting with people as well. There was let's see if that's gonna autofocus. Let me get out of frame. It looks
I don't know
blurry.
if it'll pull it.
It's not. Yeah, I don't know why it's supposed to, but okay.
Either way, a laptop. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's an iPad with this mobile keyboard called the OP1 Field that you can produce, and it has an FM radio, and you can sample and do a ton of different things on it. But nice, yeah, there was a guy sitting right next to me, and had to have been in his 70s, maybe 80s or something, like up there, you know.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was funny. He was like, hey, he's like, is that a keyboard? And then I'm like, yeah, I was excited to tell him about it. I was like, yeah, it's called Teenage Engineering, blah, 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 the whole spiel. And he's like, okay, so yeah, you can like, type essays and do that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, keyboard, not keyboard. I was like, no, not quite. It's a musical. Yeah. And then we had like a 25-minute conversation. It was actually really cool.
Oh, that's nice. That's fun. It is always that age group does love to chat at a coffee shop. Yeah. They'll come up and they want to know what you're working on. They want to know what your deal is.
And I was thrilled to share with him. I was like, "Oh wow, you're interested? Okay, let me go ahead and let me get this on camera so we can make some content with this."
Yeah. Get something good out of it.
Let me get some value out of this, man. But what I wanted to share with you, one of my good friends, who is a business partner of mine with my tutoring business, he showed me a video yesterday, and he was like, "Yo, dude," he's like, "This is like, I guess when your inner thoughts come out, even though you don't want them to come out, kind of thing." Showed me a video of him. And it was the same style of video that you do, which I will get into, obviously, that I love and think is the funniest thing in the world. And it was very similar to it. And I'm watching it, and it was actually dark. It was very dark. It was like, all right, that's a little too much for me. He basically was like, do you ever just have these bad thoughts? And he turned the camera around. He's like, you see that woman over there? I feel uncomfortable even saying it, Matt, but I'll say it just for the sake of conversation.
You're quoting.
It's fine. Yeah. He was like, what would happen if I just went over there and just socked her in the face? I was like, dude. Wow. I was like, who are you right now? I was like, that's not you to say this type of thing. But he was, I guess, joking about it. I don't know. But in any case, I was reminded of you, of course, with the angle, with the whole thing. And I was like, bro, I don't know if you heard of this guy, and basically show him one of your clips. Yeah. And his response, not only has he heard of you, he's a massive fan of yours. Oh. And he was telling, yeah, dude, yep. So you have a fan of a person, how do I want to articulate this? A fan of yours is someone who loves thinking about punching random people, which is kind of like
those are my people, dude.
those are your exactly just the random people in the streets.
Yeah.
But yeah, the long and short is he was like so excited about this.
Sweet.
He was like, I love, your other videos and stuff, but this is the one that I'm like, I can't wait for. So I was like, that's awesome.
Oh, that's very sweet. That's very nice.
Yeah, bro. For sure.
I appreciate
So I want
that.
to, of course. I want to dive in. I want to ask a question to you that I stole from another podcast host. I always like saying that because it's true. And he asked me, like, what was young Kevin like? And I want to ask you, Matt, growing up, what was like younger you as a child? What were you like growing up?
That's a good question. What was young me like? I was very, I don't know. I wasn't a class clown. I think people tend to think like comedians, people that do comedy were acting up. I liked the attention. I liked writing. I liked doing creative things from a young age, but I wasn't like the kid who was like pulling pranks and being like a little dickhead in class or anything.
Gotcha.
I had an older brother, younger sister, so a lot of time was just spent with the family, playing in the yard with the neighbors, stuff like that. But yeah, I got into music at a pretty young age. I got into music way before I got into comedy. I feel like it's kind of hard to get into comedy as a kid, but yeah, that's the long and short of it. I had a good childhood. I was a pretty curious kid. Yeah.
Did you grow up in the city or in the area?
No, I grew up just outside of Pittsburgh.
I see.
Where I'm from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So older brother, younger sister. Check. I also have that.
Oh, middle kid.
Yeah, middle kid syndrome, as I say. Although
absolutely.
I think I was the opposite of it because I was allegedly I was the favorite. I think people say the middle child usually is like the neglected or something because you have the first and then the youngest. I wasn't that at all. I was like the opposite, but that's neither here nor there. But that's relatable, super relatable. And then music and comedy. And bro, I discovered your stuff probably through the algorithm or whatever a few months ago, right? And what I do is, do a little like, wow, this stood out to me. And then I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this woman? And like, check out their old stuff. And I see your musical prowess. Then at the time when I first saw your first video, obviously had no idea about your musical background. And I saw the stuff like the one video specifically jumps out at me is like you on the piano and coming up and like singing a song that was just like a funny song but it was like it was good and funny on the piano. I was like, I like that. That's really cool to me. It's what I yearn for. Of course, dude. It's what I yearn for. Like with what I'm kind of working towards, I guess we can say. But at some point you found a winning formula, bro. The Cava, the sweet potatoes, in the mixing things together. I just showed my wife just now. I was like, Jess, this is who I'm talking, and she's like, send me his profile so I can watch the rest of these later. I was like, got you. I was like, got you.
Yeah. It wasn't always. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Did you have like a?
No, I wanted to know exactly what you were about to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like because I feel like this is what we were heading towards is like the music, combining the music and the comedy as far as like deciding, you can write. I guess I'll start with like I was always doing music as a kid. I was playing guitar. I started learning piano a little later in life, but I was always very even up until like 7 years ago. Like I was very like the music is the music, the jokes are the jokes. Like I kind of like separated those two parts of my creative brain. And it wasn't till a friend of mine was like, you really should lean into like you can write really good songs and you're a funny writer. You should try to just write some comedic stuff that you can do with the piano or do with the guitar or whatever it may be. And it started as like doing impressions of other artists or doing impressions of like Broadway musicals, stuff like that. But I really started getting some attention from doing the musical comedy more than the walking around stuff. But things evolve and things change. But yeah, it was that was a big light bulb moment when that friend told me to try combining them and figuring that out. And that's been a huge like ace up my sleeve to have as a comedy person because there's lots of funny people out there, but it's nice that I can kind of lean on the crutch, so to speak, of being able to like whip up a track on the piano or produce something that I could use for a project or something else. Yeah.
Makes a ton of sense. How many years ago about would you say was that friend sharing that with you?
Probably like 2018, 2019. Yeah. Okay. So not too long ago. I would do the occasional comedy song for something. but I didn't really lean into that being my my whole shit till she said that. And I was like, yeah, I should try that. I should try to like do some funny stuff at the piano more. It's enjoyable and people like it.
So you mentioned guitar, you mentioned piano. So what was your musical background like in the sense of like lessons as a kid or by ear, or like how did you kind of get started?
Yeah, so my older brother, he was a really talented saxophone player. I mean, he still is, but he was really like one of those like guys like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. He's killing it. And so growing up under that, I was like, well, I'm going to join the band when I get to that age. But when I was like at band age in school, I'm trying to think. I was into like Blink-182. I was into like Green Day. I was a big like pop punk. Anything that was on TRL was my shit. Like,
I was just about to say TRL days. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't just like the guitar bands. It was like pop music. I just loved pop music from a young age. And sure, there was like ska back then, but in general, there weren't a lot of people doing like saxophone and trumpet and stuff. And it didn't click for me. I wish I had done that, but I was begging my parents to buy me a guitar because I just wanted to emulate Blink-182. I wanted to do that. I wanted to make a band like that. That was all I cared about. And they did eventually give in and supported me, and I got private lessons, and I learned how to play guitar. And I worked with the same teacher till I turned 18 and graduated and moved away. And yeah, it was a huge part of my like developing my creativity, getting into like songwriting. I mean, I was the kid who was like, it's so like embarrassing looking back on it now, but I was the kid who was like the acoustic guitar guy at the coffee shop. Like I was like, come to my show and I'll play, Jack Johnson covers and stuff like that. Like that was what I was doing, man. And it was fun. Like I loved doing that kind of stuff. And I don't know. It was like everything to me back then. And I still obviously write music and play, but that was like a huge part of my high school life. And then the lessons translated into kind of like, I taught myself piano, but I had a real nice head start from learning, music on the guitar and knowing like what this chord looks like, what the scale looks like. And it all kind of translated. And now I play piano way more than I play guitar now because I just produce everything on the keyboard, as you probably know. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. And I was actually to the 98-year-old man that I referenced earlier. I mentioned to him, I guess randomly in the conversation, but it is a goal of mine for sure. The opposite of the order that you took from the guitar to piano. I absolutely want to and therefore will eventually learn the guitar. And for me, the excitement about that acoustic instrument versus, I mean, I have like behind me a Nord Piano 5, which I treat, great. Bro, I love it so much. I've been blessed to have an opportunity to work with a online reseller of music equipment, audio equipment that found my channel and love what I do and basically are enabling me to use and try out equipment and stuff. So that's where this came into play.
Whoa, that's so nice.
It's really, really cool. I mean, it was overwhelming when I got the email and I thought it was fake at first. And then I had the conversation. I'm like, okay, where's the but you have to, do this type of thing. But it never happened yet.
That's a great feeling though, man. It's nice when people see what you're doing and appreciate you, and then you get to kind of benefit from it. And that's
Absolutely.
Great. Very validating.
That's the word, validating for sure. And I'd be remiss before I even finish that story. I think this conversation here is one that is going to be historic when we look back on it. Maybe, I don't know. But the reason I say it is because like I've been kind of half in, half out when it comes to this thing, Khordmaster Keys, my platform, podcast, interviewing people, conversations, and connecting. And I've been half in, half out because I've been a little bit more focused on other endeavors when it comes to making content, like the things that are more searchable, for example. But from feedback that has been given to me over the past several years now of doing these, it's just like I have a renewed like, I want to make this a lot more prominent because I love connecting with people. Like it's so dope to have an intimate 1 hour conversation. I even do little things like have my video so I can't even see me. It's like I just see you. I have these headphones on that are wireless, so it just feels more organic. Like I do all these little tweaks to make it feel just more comfortable and stuff. I have a $1,800 Herman Miller chair to make me feel like relaxed. That I, you know what I'm saying?
That's the hookup, dude. I'm sitting on this busted ass. You can't even see it. Like, it is the worst chair. I literally put a note in my phone the other day. I said, buy a new damn chair. I was like, cause I sit here and do it. You can't see, but I got my MIDI keyboard. This is where I like produce and write.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're killing yourself sitting in this piece of junk. You gotta get something nice.
You got
the setup, man. You're looking,
bro.
looking real
Thank
cozy.
you, man. Thank you, dude. Yeah, I treated myself a few years ago with this particular chair. I even did a review on my channel. I was like, it's time to upgrade.
Yeah.
So I definitely did that. But I say historic because I think from this one, just moving forward, like, I'm thrilled for the opportunity to like just spend more time on it, fine tune it, make it better and better and better. And so I'm appreciative of you and the fact that you responded so, quickly and so, eagerly to do it. It was just like, all right, and I even tweeted, like I said, something like when people who are doing dope ass SHI asterisk, whatever, I didn't like put the words there, but when people who are doing that agree to be a platform on my show, then that's reaffirming for me that I'm also doing dope AS. And that's how I felt in that moment. And I'm just appreciative, man. So thank you for taking the time out.
No, of course, man. I think this stuff's really important. Like, especially like with what I do, a lot of my work nowadays is very solitary. It's me writing. It's me in my headphones. I don't go to an office every day. Like, I don't know what your day job is or what you're working on in that sense. But like, conversations with people that are making things on any scale, it doesn't matter if you have like 1 million subscribers, if you have like 12, it's like, or anywhere in between. It's just, there's something really energizing about talking to anyone that's trying to put something out in the world instead of just take from the world. Dude, and I always super appreciate that, because it's I'm not trying to be selfish here, but it's just as beneficial for me to have this conversation with you about creativity and work as it is for you. It invigorates me. It gets me excited about making stuff.
That's so cool. All right, so there's 2 things I want to jump into, and I appreciate that feedback. I think the first thing I want to like learn a little bit more, obviously the stuff that I see on Instagram, on social. I know that's one part of what you do. And then you mentioned writing, and you meant writing like comedy writing as well as music. So I want to kind of like unpack, you were at a cafe today. What were you specifically working on today?
That's a great question. So I'm working on a couple different projects, and it's been something I've been dealing with the past couple of months, to be honest, is this feeling of, I feel a little scatterbrained. I feel a little pulled different directions with creative projects. And I think anyone that does this kind of work feels that way from time to time. But lately I just have a lot on my plate that I'm trying to juggle. And so today I'm working on developing a TV project. So I'm working on putting together pages for that. And I'm working on putting together some essays that I want to eventually try to put into a compilation for publishing, for like a book. So I've been doing a lot of, brainstorming, a lot of outlining, a lot of editing of previously written things. And then whenever I have a moment where something jumps out, I have my separate doc of like, maybe you can make a video out of this. And I try to look at old things like that. Cause I always got that thing tugging at me too, of like, no one's got a gun to my head saying like, you need to put out a video every day or anything. But like, if it's been a few days or a week plus or whatever that timeline is, it can start to feel a little like, hey, you should probably make something. Like no one, you don't want to go. It always feels like that pressure, even if it's non-existent. I always feel that as well. So I was kind of doing a little bit of all things this afternoon, and and I, like I said, I shot one, and my barometers, I send everything to my partner, and she's like, I was like, what do we think of this? Because she's very honest with me, and I think she has very good taste and kind of knows what's funny and what's across the line. And she was like, I was like, is this offensive? She's like, it's not offensive. She's like, I just don't think it's funny. And I was like, I like rewatched it, and I was like, no, we'll put that one on the shelf. We'll come back to it. So
it's not offensive. It's just not fun. That's
she's
really
like,
funny.
she's like, no one's gonna be mad. No one's gonna care. That's a good point. Good point.
All right, so what was the premise then? I mean, could we like talk about it or what?
Yeah, we can talk about it. I don't care. I mean, I think it would work well live, but you might have to cut this.
Noted.
No, the idea was like, it was a short video, and it was an observation of like dangerous people nowadays. Where like growing up, if like watching action movies and like playing video games, like the dangerous guy was like bunch of piercings, like a mohawk maybe, like he's all tatted up. But I was like, if you see someone like that now, you're like, that's just a cool guy. The guy you got to worry about, I was like, it's the skinny white guy with the big backpack, and he's got the dress socks and the running shoes, and you're sort of like, and the joke was like, he's either really good at Super Smash Brothers, or he's like Googled how to build a bomb. You know what I mean? I'm like, that was the observation, bro. And I was like, it's a little dark. It's a little just kind of like, yeah, those are the school shooter types. That's not exactly funny. It's just sad.
Okay. So I have to disagree with, I mean, based on my reaction, I disagree with your wife about it not being not funny.
Girlfriend, but yeah.
I'm sorry, girlfriend. My bad.
You're fine. You're fine.
Soon to be, maybe. We'll see.
There we go.
We'll see. But that was really good. And you threw Smash Brothers in there, which is one of my favorite games of all time. Do you play?
Same. I do play Smash, yeah.
Ooh, all right, Smash. So this conversation takes a little bit of a detour. Who is your main, if you have one?
I go back and forth, but I'm talking the newest one on the Switch. Is that what we're talking to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big Ganondorf guy. He's one of my dudes. Ganondorf and DK are kind of my go-to. I like the big close combat kind of characters. That's my vibe. What about you?
So I am a main of Wii Fit Trainer.
Whoa.
Specifically the female version, which, yes, say what you're going to say, which is true.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of Wii Fit trainers out here in the wild.
Not at all. Which is why whenever I ask who someone's main is, I'm always like, is this person going to say Wii Fit Trainer? Like, I'm curious. I know it's not going to happen, but I want to know, like, is this going to be like one of these moments where it's like, me too.
Yeah, you found me.
Right, exactly. We found each other, which is why when I play online and I play against another Wii Fit Trainer, first, like, at least 30 or 40 seconds of the match is just duck, stand up, duck, stand up. Like, you can't taunt, so it's just like a...
Yeah, you got to get those little push-ups in. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can picture it.
There you go. Some people call... What is that called? Like, I forget the term. It's teabagging. Is that right?
Oh, yes, teabagging. That type of thing? The very juvenile.
Yes, for sure. Damn, that's cool. All right, so we'll have to play online or in person at some point. I would think that would be incredible to do.
Yeah.
And from a this conversation is super dope. I'm very excited about where it's going right now, and I'm glad you shared that. That was mad funny. Hopefully one day it sees the light of day.
I think, but you can get it though, right? Like picture that coming up on your feed. It's like funny, but I think if you were at like a club and you saw someone doing that I think it'd play better for stand up. I'm throwing it over in that.
Gotcha.
I'm throwing it over there.
That's another question. You do regularly?
I used to. When I first moved to New York like 10 years ago, I was getting up a lot. I was trying to perform, going to mics, getting on friends' shows, and then I was doing improv at UCB. I was kind of just trying to throw my name into any hat that would have me, to varying levels of success. But lately, if I get up, I don't perform a ton lately, but when I do, I tend to be at a piano. I like to do a lot of like musical comedy live.
Wow.
It's kind of... It separates me a little. It's fun for me. That's the kind of stuff that interests me live. I know I don't have the chops to be like a stand up. I think I can get by, but the goal is not to be like a stand up comedian who has like a special on Netflix. The goal is to like, in that world, if I was gonna do anything, it'd be to like write songs for like a comedic musical, or to do some kind of, if I did a comedy special, it would be like me at the piano, you know what I mean? With like a band, like something a little different, because I don't know. I don't have the character, not the character. What am I trying to say? I don't have like the kind of fortitude to be a stand-up comedian. It's a hard life, and I admire that talent, and it's not something I'm going to spend the years honing at this point. So.
Right. To get to that. Wow, so that's all right. So there's a few things. I don't know randomly. What's this guy's name again? Dimitri Martin, is that his name? Have you heard of him before? He was on Comedy Central.
Yeah, definitely.
You know about him? Yeah. So he used to. I mean, I loved his show back in the day. Because he would do like more than just the stand up stuff, right? Music, as well as like his like Flipboard and all that kind of stuff. That was like a one man show type thing that I really really enjoyed. And so that makes a lot of sense. So from a music perspective, if I'm going to one of your, maybe one that you've done, or maybe one of your future shows where you're incorporating the two, is singing and telling jokes, etc., over like funny songs, over like you playing like essentially that type of thing, right?
Exactly
Yeah.
that. It's
Okay.
loose. It's just
Yeah,
me
yeah, yeah,
screwing
yeah.
around at the piano.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Man, okay. I mean, that just sounds. I love playing the keyboard. I love the piano so
Hmm.
much. I have this microphone, this Neumann U87 mic. I have my
Oh,
Roland
nice.
Phantom over here. I'm like name dropping all over the place.
Yeah,
Roland
yeah,
Phantom over here.
yeah.
Yeah, you got similar or
I got a really nice mic last year, and I think
okay?
it's a Neumann. It's or 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure it's a Neumann. It was
Yeah.
like my splurge
Oh
equipment
yeah.
because I don't buy a lot of like I've got enough stuff that I can record and make decent sounding like music, but that was my
Right.
big boy purchase where I was like I need a vocal mic that I
Step it
can.
up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, and I love it. But
Man. Well, yeah, I was gonna say that I just I think that idea is one that I too want to explore. I'm starting to like find my voice now more because like when I was doing live streaming and stuff, like last year and the year before, I still do it here and there, but not as much. One of the most fun things for me was learning chord progressions to songs I enjoy and singing them. It just brings, it's like therapeutic almost, right?
yeah,
No matter who's watching or whatever. And so, but the comedy aspect of things for this next season, I feel like every 3 years, like I have an engineering background. I used to work at Verizon for 12 years,
oh
and
cool.
now I'm doing something totally different, right? And I know that back then and even now, every 3 or so years is when it was time for like a pivot, like a change in what's happening in my life.
Interesting.
And yeah, and I just had a realization. I was like, wow, I was doing that all my life. And for some reason, I've been a content creator now for about 3 years approaching. And one of the areas, there's a few things I'm kind of thinking about, but one of the areas that I know that I want to spotlight more, because when you mentioned scatterbrain, I'm very much there, all these ideas, all these different things. But my truest self, and you can ask my wife, and she's always like, why you only act this, you only show this side of yourself like around me, you don't really do this out and about that much. And that side is like me just being just completely weird and silly and funny to me and entertaining myself, right?
Yeah,
now
yeah,
we
yeah.
now we have a daughter, a 1 year old, and
Oh,
so like
nice.
she's like my like semi audience kind of thing. I make faces and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say that like I want to lean into that more and not be not that I'm not myself on my YouTube channel, but like I'm a lot more professional like on my channel and things like that.
Yeah.
So you're kind of inspiring me to like you might see me messing around with some stuff similar to what you're talking about right
You
now.
should. I mean, I always encourage people to try things, especially if you have something that you think is original and unique. And also, I don't think you should feel guilty about. I mean, the person I am around my girlfriend is not the same person I am, on
Yeah,
stage. I don't play a character, but you're never going to be, truly
completely.
like there's a reason that person's your partner. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
you feel as comfortable as you could be. You're not necessarily going to or nor should you want to necessarily bring that person into the
Into the wild.
yeah it's
Unleash
like
them.
that's yeah it's like maybe that person's just for them or whatever it might be
Right.
but it sounds like your head's in the right place with wanting to experiment and try some stuff and
Dude.
dip more into that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I just released like my debut album called Kayla Joy album, which is an instrumental. Kayla Joy is my daughter's name. It's
Cool.
dedicated to her.
I'm writing that
Planned to
down.
originally. Oh, absolutely, man. I love for you to check it out when you get an opportunity.
And what's the artist name under? Is it under
Khordmaster.
Khordmaster?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And
listen.
bro, I'd be thrilled. Yeah, for sure. That's like the most. I love people who like have a chance to listen and like send. Like my boy was like the same one who the video that I mentioned earlier that I won't repeat the story of. He was like, "Yo, man, just want to let you know like I'm bumping Kayla Joy album in the car with my mom right now, and we're both like feeling it. It's a different experience in the car. So things like
Nice.
that, you almost want to like you want to frame it. It's like, yo, cool. You know what I'm saying? Whether you said
Yeah.
it just to be nice or whatever, the fact that you're
Yeah.
experiencing it is really really awesome.
Yeah. No, that's the
sure.
best feeling in the world when someone is like, "Oh my God, I'm dying about this." Or like even just you telling me like your wife's reaction to that video, or like your friend being like, "Oh, I know this guy." I mean, that doesn't
Bro.
get old. It's a really nice feeling. You're like, "Oh,
That's
yeah."
That's
People
so
care.
true. People do, and it's easy to, as a creator, and I'm sure clearly you could relate to this, like in the social media fast world that we're kind of in and kind of continuing going towards, just saying like verbally, either, whether it's on the phone, text message, or this way, but giving someone like more than just the like about what their craft is, if something moved you or whatever it is like the biggest thing in the world for me. Like I love those types of moments. So I know what they do to me. So that's why I was like, of course I need to like let you know that straight away.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Definitely.
So when it comes to, I mentioned in on Instagram, I think when I first hit you up, like when it comes to the videos that you make, what's astounding to me and my friend is the fact that these are one takes, not even what appears to be, because I studied them and I'm like, oh, this person is like, he's just talking and he just stream of consciousness and like thoughts that come to your mind. It almost reminds me a little bit of like a freestyle rapper, which I can't do, but I wonder, how are you able, like this guy Harry Mack, like how are you able to like look at this chat and like come up with these things? Like it's a different side of the brain. Someone may ask me, how am I able to improvise on the piano? Well, you know, there's a way for it, but I'm just curious to know like how that, maybe you go into your brain a little bit, like how does that work? How are you able to do that? That's a dumb question, but
no, I totally understand it.
Yeah.
I totally understand it. I mean, it's funny because there's an element of it being stream of conscious, but everything is thought out. You know what I mean? Like I treat it just like writing, like I'm going to do this on stage or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like in the shower and thinking like, oh man, like these Cava bowl places, they're so stupid. And then I just go out and just wing it. Like I kind of write some jokes, you know, so I have some things to fall on. And then, you know, when we're out there and we're filming it, you know, you kind of just like, you get from point A to point B to point C, however you get there. But I always have my little points of like, oh, I want to make a joke about that. I want to make a joke about that. And I want to end on a big joke about this. And then if we, you know, sometimes I'll do a few different takes because whether there's like, you know, an ambulance goes by or I kind of stumble or something. It's not always like I just step out there and it's some kind of moment that feels perfect. But yeah, I don't know. It to me, it's like, it seems crazy in TikTok. Like it seems insane because everything on TikTok is like edit. But like, it's really just about a minute of comedy. And when you think about what you see on like the stages on Broadway or like, these are people that are memorizing and reciting like very long amounts of work. Like you're not the first person to ask that. And it is interesting because I just think it's the venue. I think you're just so used to seeing such quick stuff on TikTok. So when someone isn't like chopping it up constantly, you're sort of like, what is this? Why is it one continuous? Like it just feels like a marathon, but it's really just like 48 seconds, you know, like it's never that insane, but I'm glad it comes off that way because I do try to pack a lot into a little video. I try not to just sort of meander. I try to like, I don't know, there's all kinds of conversations about the state of comedy online versus live and whatnot. And I do feel like so much of the comedy I see, at least on mine, is stand-up clips, but they're almost never jokes. They're funny, but they're like crowd work clips. And I think that's really great. Like, I don't hate that at all, but like, if I'm not going to be on stage for these videos, I better be packing in some jokes. You know, I don't want it to just be like Matt just rambling. I want it to feel natural, but I want it to feel like I'm giving you something worth sharing with a friend or something worth going, oh, this is funny, instead of just me screwing around and cutting it together in 60 little micro clips, you know. So,
incredible. That definitely makes sense, and that's helpful to kind of understand the thought process, and that makes a ton of sense. So you talked about musical influences earlier, some of the pop music that you grew up listening to. So stand-up comedy, or just comedy in general, is an area that obviously for you, and now, as I've mentioned earlier, for me as well, it's an area that is I'm just very, very, very interested in comedy and in stand-up comedy, in the fact that someone can be standing in front of a group of people and make their lives better by making them laugh, and as well as maybe injecting, you know, like other things that maybe aren't comedy. Like Dave Chappelle's one of my biggest influences, massive fan of his. And so like injecting other things. And then what's this other guy's name as well? Maybe you heard of him. George Carlin. Of course you've heard of him. I'm assuming. I think every comic. Did you watch his HBO special, or not special, but like documentary thing?
Documentary? No, I need to watch it. Was it good?
Okay. I thought it was phenomenal. Yeah, because I've only seen clips of his stuff. Yeah, highly recommend it for sure. That just popped in my head. But I'd be interested in knowing like some of your, I guess to finish my thought, being able to stand in front of that group of people and just, I think I finished my thought already. Yes, make their lives better, et cetera, et cetera. But who might be some of your influences in the comedy like space over time?
Man, like I think some of the stuff I really gravitated towards early on were all like musical type things. Like I was really big on late night TV in general. Like I watched a lot of late night shows like Letterman and Conan.
Yeah.
And SNL was always a big part of my like upbringing once I like was old enough to kind of understand it. And especially focusing on SNL was like the Lonely Island guys. And
oh my God.
Those that was something that I didn't have the vision or the vocabulary to articulate at the time, but like that was probably my number one influence without me even realizing it, was watching like all those silly kind of juvenile songs, but they were just incredible songs, like really good music that you would listen to and people did listen to like all the way through like my college years. Like you would hear those songs at parties. Like they were like just great pop songs, but they were funny. And I think I always secretly wanted to do that, but didn't really know how to get to that level of like making funny songs like that or combining. Again, it's that thing of like I was kind of like separating my two skill sets. But yeah, that was probably the biggest influence on me as a comedian.
Oh man, see you're bringing it back now because like I've watched Lonely Island and like all the digital shorts. I mean we can go down the list. I'm just trying to think. I haven't watched any of them in quite a while.
No, me neither.
But dang, I'm trying to think of like any one like. I mean, specifically, like the Jack Sparrow. I'm sure you've seen that one.
Jack Sparrow is literally what I was going to say. That one, I will never forget that song. As long
so
as
good.
And it might not be as iconic as like Dick in a Box or I'm on a Boat, but like
Jizz in My Pants.
Yeah, Jizz in My Pants was huge, but like Jack Sparrow. I mean, there was something about that Michael Bolton chorus that I was like, "This is unreal!" Like
it's so powerful. Yeah, and what is he singing about? Right? Like,
it was I'm trying to remember the game of the song. It was all about like how this guy, they just needed to sing like a hook about being in the club and partying, and he just kept going back to like he just loved movies and wanted to sing about like the Pirates of the Caribbean and like Scarface. I mean, it's just so stupid, but it was so good. And the music is what does like 90% of the work there, because it's just like even if you can't understand what they're saying because you don't know the language or whatever it is, you're still gonna hear that song and be like, this is fun. I'm having a good time. Like,
I'm just enjoying it. Yes.
Yeah, it's pleasurable.
1,000%. What about Ross Trent?
Ross Trent. I don't know if I know that person.
Okay, Ross Trent was that was one of the digital shorts, and that was
I thought you were talking about a
Jamaican
comedian. Oh yeah.
The Rastafarian is a
I'm looking it up.
Yeah. That my sister loves that one too. That's definitely a good one. Dang,
and
that's
like
awesome.
Shy Ronnie was pretty funny. The guy didn't want to record when he had to. I remember when Rihanna was on and they did that. That was very, very good. Yeah, that was huge for me, man. I still think about all those like tracks and like gold standard. I feel like
so good. Well, so let me ask this question. Like in terms of what I was going to tweet this a while ago. I want to like maybe do a newsletter or do something to hopefully inspire people. And it was just a thought that popped in my head that I forget exactly how it was, what it said explicitly, but it was along the lines of have an idea of like what your something like this. If you don't know what you are working towards, like what you're trying to get to, then there's a good chance that you may not be able to get there. Right. So like what the plan is. And I'm kind of internalizing that a little bit more too, when we mentioned that creative side and having a lot of different areas. One area for me, math tutor, ELA, English language arts tutor, and piano lessons. That's like the business side, Kevin's mentor and tutor services. And then the other side is the creative side, where Khordmaster and music. And I also, similar to what you said, working on finding creative ways to join the two. But do you have like from your end, like where you're at right now and like what you see for yourself in say a few years from now? Do you have something that you feel pretty deeply about like wanting to accomplish?
That's a really good question. I used to have like pretty clear-cut goals of things I wanted to do. in the comedy and music space, but things have kind of changed for me over the past few years. No singular event that led to this moment. I just sort of am. There's so many things I want to do in my life that are such big picture things, but I kind of am in this weird headspace lately where I'm just going with the flow, and my number one rule is just generate. And don't force it. Like if I don't have like again, I didn't post that weird video today, but it's like, but if I have something that I think is unique and interesting, whether it's a song idea or a video or an idea for a show, something, then I just want to be making that and then see where that leads me, because I don't know. I think it's important to have goals. Like I don't fully disagree with what you're saying about like you kind of have to have like that thing ahead. I do think that helps, but I'm in a place right now professionally where I'm just sort of like, let's just see how things unravel. And I'm just going to focus on the stuff I can control, because if I get too ahead of myself and think like, I really, really want this thing, I'm going to bum myself out when, you know, things take so long to get made. It's like you're going to go back and forth on emails and notes from this person and notes from that person. And you do it because you want to do it, but you're sort of like, if you get ahead of yourself, at least for me personally, I tend to like get stressed that things aren't moving quickly enough, or things are like, why am I not at this stage yet at this age in my life? Or why am I not making this? So I want to obviously achieve a certain level of success, but I try not to like hold myself to it in a way that stresses me out. I'm just trying to focus on new songs, new comedy, and getting it out in front of people and seeing where that leads me, you know?
That makes sense for sure. So cafes versus in-house in terms of writing, what do you like generally do? Are you the person that's most of the time out of the house when you're generating content? I guess obviously the music stuff is in the house, but do you kind of have it split between both areas, or do you prefer like one setting for one type of creative work?
It's a really good question, because like, there are times where I feel like I'm so productive at coffee shops, and just because I force myself to be like, you're here, you can't screw around on your phone, you came here, you can't like, where if I'm at home, it's so easy to turn on the Nintendo Switch or look at my phone and go on TikTok. Like there's something about going to the place that, like, I don't have a day job right now, and so there's nothing stopping me from sleeping till 1 p.m., waking up, playing video games, going to bed at 1 of them. There's nothing stopping me from doing nothing beyond, having bills to pay. But like, it's always helpful for me to just get out of the house, because then I kind of give myself a new environment. I tell myself, even if you get 30 minutes of work done, it was worth it to like, step outside of your home, because I'm not going into an office every day. So it's nice to just go interact with human beings some days and just see what's going on out there. Yeah.
What's interesting about that is, like I mentioned Verizon. So I remember when I used to work there, the many teams that I worked for were like anti, and of course this was pre-COVID, they were anti work from home for the, I guess, seemingly obvious reasons. Some departments, or a lot of other departments, were fine with it. But the leadership in my teams usually, and I was like, dang, like that would be so cool. Like imagine one Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever to be able to break the week up and work from home. But it just kind of never happened regularly. And now fast forward to where we're at now, where it's very similar to you when, I mentioned the two areas that I focus on, but I work for myself, kind of like what you're doing right now. And so now I can work from home all the time, but now I really don't do it really ever unless if I have to. Like I almost need to, I actually have an office space like in the nearby town where I live. So that's like one other area besides the house. But then the coffee shops and cafes, dude, I just discovered one as if it was like Plymouth Rock or something. I just found one out like 50 minutes north of me in this town called Boonton. I'm going to give them a shout out. Boonton Coffee Company. Okay. My buddy, this is the third time he's coming up in conversation because he lives in the area, and he told me about this place. Like, dog, like, I don't know why I said dog. He never said that.
You're fine. Dude, you don't have to apologize for saying dog.
Dog.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, you'll love it up here. You have to come check it out. And I did. And I already did like a makeshift, video on my channel on it. But I want to do like more of a full-fledged one. But it was incredible. I mean, cozy.
What was it about
nook,
it? Yeah.
Larger in size than any of the other ones that I've been at. But it had different distinct sections. It had like the general open, high table, regular chairs kind of section in the main area. But then it had like in the back corner, it was like a separate closed off section with like couches and then even some desks to work at if you want to be super private.
That's nice. Sounds like a library.
It was really good. I was like blown away. I couldn't even like sit down. And like as soon as I walked in, I was just like exploring the whole place and like just smiling. Everyone was like, "What the hell is this guy?"
This guy is a little too excited about the cappuccino. He's going,
what is he?
He's going crazy in here.
I can only imagine because everyone's like they're sitting on these comfortable couches, leaning back, just like typing away, probably doing similar stuff to what you're doing, maybe working on some writing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just walk in there like huge smile on my face. Like,
I don't. This goofy ass smiling.
I do not like this at all. I don't like this person right now.
Oh, that's so funny. You know what my big conflict is right now is I live, I don't know how well you know Manhattan. I'm on the Upper West Side, and I live fairly close to Columbia.
Okay.
And for the life of me, it's so damn hard to find a coffee shop that's not loaded with Columbia kids all like studying and writing papers. And like, I'm just coming in, I'm like, I'm just trying to write a video about, like Sweetgreen. Like, can I just have a table for 5 damn minutes? But every place is packed. So I found a new place, and I'm not going to say their name because it's always empty. It's like, and I don't know what the deal is. It's great though. Like the coffee is fine. You don't go there for the beverage as much as you go there for the space, and it's been great. But yeah, oftentimes, like I love the summers here because all the Columbia kids are back home for the summer. So I'm like, I can actually get a table. It's nice.
Wow. That's cool. That's really cool. I'm actually from the city originally,
and cool.
I was born in the Bronx. And I had to come up to New York, right? Because New York is above us, Jersey, I think. I'm a math guy, something like that. I focus on algebra more so. But I was there for a meeting with one of the major companies that I work with from Musically, and it was the best dinner meeting that I've ever been at as a creator. I'm very excited about what potentially can come out of that. But just going to the city, taking the train ride up there, going like several hours earlier. It was a beautiful day. Yeah. It was like nicer than it is today. It wasn't as chilly or whatever. And I brought my mobile equipment. I explored and filmed some content, the whole nine. I'm like, okay. I used to like shit on Jersey about like, okay, I was not born here but lived here the majority of my life. And I'm like, my wife and I have had many conversations about where we see ourselves like in the future, especially with our daughter and stuff like that. We're like, oh, we're going to go somewhere where the weather's warmer and all that. And we probably will. But I started recently acknowledging like there's 3 specific areas about Jersey where I'm just like, okay, I don't know if there's another place that has access to all 3 of these. So like going to New York now, I'm like, I should be doing that at least once a month, taking the train right out and just exploring and just being immersed in that, especially when the weather's nicer. So I am going to be doing that for sure. I'll see you at the unnamed coffee shop one day for sure.
Yeah, we'll grab a coffee or a drink or something. That'd be awesome.
I mean, in all seriousness, I would love to. I mean, we live obviously close enough to make that happen. 2 is skiing. I love skiing, and we're close to all that type of stuff when the weather gets colder. And then 3 is like, it's the beaches when the weather's nice. Like we're close to that as well. And a lot of other places in the country don't have access to, No,
we're very lucky. I mean, we kind of have the best of everything here. Where would you guys go? Would you go like West Coast or would you go?
Probably down south, probably North Carolina, somewhere like that. Okay. Where the weather is nicer year round and we're not that far from a plane ride up to family and stuff. But every time we talk about that, like with our, our daughter's grandparents and stuff, it's like, I'm sure they're not thrilled about, what I'm saying, like that, but it's more so down the road. They want to
see the kid grow up. I get it.
Absolutely. It's like we'll get there when we get there. It's all good.
Yeah. Where are you in Jersey? How far are you from like getting into Manhattan?
Yeah, so I'm in Somerset, New Jersey. So train ride 45 minutes or so, driving about the same. So it's not bad at all. Yeah, it's really a good look. Okay, so I'm gonna ask one more question, then we're gonna wrap up. Today's date night. Which means that we were doing years ago, and now with our daughter it kind of got a little bit hectic, understandably. But now we're like both like, okay, we have we're blessed that we have, both of our parents that live like 10 minutes from us.
That's so nice.
And who are thrilled about the opportunity to watch Kayla and stuff. So we can do something for us every week. Like we should make it a point to do that. So today is like the start of the continuation of that, which I'm excited about. So I'll post like this place that we're going to go to. It's like a really nice distillery with like some of the best cocktails I've ever had. Ooh. She told me we're going there. That's why I'm so excited right now. Not just because of you, but also because I know,
I get it, man.
I know after this is going to be really fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, if you can break up the week too with something like that right in the middle, that's nice. That's a nice, get out and do something fun for yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of Get Out, have you seen that movie before?
I have. Yeah.
What do you think? I just saw it again for the I don't know, fourth time recently.
I think it's one of my favorites. I think I've never read a script and watched a movie that had such little fat in it. You know what I mean? Like every single character choice, every line of dialogue, every like costume, like everything had a purpose for what was going to happen later, or like not even just foreshadowing, but just there was nothing about that movie where you're like, why are we seeing this or what's happening? Wow. Like the whole thing was purposeful, and I liked Us a lot. I still need to see Nope, but I think Jordan Peele, I think like to open your like film career with a movie like that's that airtight, I was like, God. Like I thought it was phenomenal, yeah. But I saw it in theaters the weekend it came out, and it was such a fucking. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you can say it.
It's fine.
It was such an experience seeing it in theaters that opening weekend because it was a packed theater. We're all losing our minds as things start to unravel. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I didn't mean to ramble, but
no, I love meeting people who also love it, and first of all, I hadn't even thought about why I love it so much. Obviously just the movie as a whole, but I love what you just said too about the fact that everything in it was super purposeful, and there was no point in the movie that I recall from the first time I saw it to like the other day when I watched it where I felt like bored or anything close to it throughout the entire movie. You know what I'm saying? Us was totally different in terms of to me at least, the payoff. Yeah. But the feeling of being on the edge of your seat the whole entire way through was still there for that movie, in my opinion, too. Yeah. You were just like, what's going to happen? And then when it did happen, it wasn't as Get Out, but it was still a stellar movie in its own right, for sure.
Yeah. No, I think he's one of the best doing it. And it's something I try to like be mindful of in anything I'm working on. I literally have like a thing on my bulletin board that says each word should have meaning, because it's so like easy to think, well, I'm going to just say everything that I'm thinking about for this scene, or make it smaller for a video I would make. It's so easy to be like, I have all these thoughts on this subject. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like when you're looking at it and when you're saying it out loud, it's like, just get to the meat of this, like trim the fat, keep it as simple, like everything in your script for your project or even music, every note, everything should have a point. And I try to be precise like that and be judicious with my edits, because I used to kind of have a lot of like bloat in my projects, and now I just have that. It's the reason it's like right above my eye line is like, because I just like, if I'm working on something and I'm like, why does this feel like I'm kind of just like bullshitting myself? It's like, oh, because you're just fluffing this thing out. Like you need to like get to what are the words that actually matter in this. And I think Jordan Peele better than anyone else, and maybe it's his comedy training or whatever, but yeah, I feel like he really gets that and doesn't really waste the audience's time, which I always have like immense respect for.
I mean, I think I probably needed to hear that. I think from a video perspective, in terms of making content for the channel, that is my biggest thing, where if I look in the mirror and say, where do I suck at in terms of like the overall, like honestly, like what I bring to the table, it is the fact that it's damn near impossible for me to like look at this video that I just shot that's like 12 minutes, or in the case of what I'm currently working on is a video from my album listening event, which is like, which was amazing, friends, family there, listening to the album. It's like 30 minutes long, but it can be 12 minutes or even less than that. But it's so hard for me for two reasons. One, I don't have the patience necessarily to like go through it many times and comb through it. And then two, I'm just like, I could take this out, but should I? Like maybe maybe one person might, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have to retrain my brain a little bit, but I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that's super important, and the audience really appreciates that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to like to kill your babies. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to be like, this is a thing I worked hard on. I don't want to leave it on the cutting room floor. Whatever that metaphor means, whether it's, written or editing video literally or whatever. But I find that, and you're the same way, I'd imagine, you're going to write more songs, you're going to have more listening parties, you're going to have more footage that you're happy with. And you kind of have to think, like, what is the point of me sharing this? It's like, sure, maybe one person will latch onto that thing you cut, but you have to think of, like, at least as I kind of like try to stay mindful of this, is like, when I'm on my phone, it's like, I'm not watching most of the stuff that my eyes are seeing. You know what I mean? It's you're going pretty quickly. And so it's like,
Sure.
I just think the shorter the better for all. And not that attention spans should be like this tiny, but like, I do think it helps to always be kind of like, yeah, I like this thing and maybe someone will like it, but I'll do this in the next one, or I'll have a track like this or a moment like this late. Like, just give them the best things you can give them as quickly as possible, and don't overthink it, because you're not going to just like run out of ideas after that video. You'll have more things, and there will be other things you'll have to cut in the future too. So, yeah.
Right. Just kind of getting yourself into that rhythm of knowing that it needs to happen almost in order, unless if you're talking about live streaming or something where it's different medium, different audience, etc. Last question, ChatGPT. AI, this craziness, right? That's what's happening. Like, what are your feelings, thoughts? I love kind of getting different perspectives on it.
I don't understand why we're not doing more to legally protect authors, artists, writers, composers, etc., etc. I don't get why we're able to train something on other people's work and then have it spit out new work, and we're just saying that's a thing we're allowed to do. I understand the benefits of it being this powerful tool for automation for certain things. I think it will be good. I think there's a lot of benefits to having artificial intelligence for your business or for your projects, but as a creative tool or as a creative crutch, it really rubs me the wrong way, because like, you can, like, I don't think I've said this on a podcast before, but I was talking about this with my friend. It's like, you can ask ChatGPT to make a joke about, like, you'd be like, I need you to write a joke about a chicken and a bar and a rabbi or whatever. And it'll like make a joke. It'll be like funny, but that's not the point of like a joke. Like, knowing that it was a machine that made it. The point of jokes is that you and I can have a moment where we laugh together and go, that's something you and I both experienced, and we get it. That's something that we can both kind of like smile, like even with the joke about like the dangerous person earlier. It's like we both kind of had that moment of like, we all know that type of guy where you're like, whoa, he's either like, and that's it's like human bonding. It's community. That's what like humor and comedy do for people, I think. And like, sure, a machine can make a funny joke, but I know the machine's never lived or done anything. So it's sort of like, well, great. Like when I see all the art, and it goes for every genre. Like when I see all the art that these things make, I'm like, sure, that's like a beautiful sunset that a machine made, but like, it's a beautiful sunset that a machine made. Like, it means literally nothing to me. So like, I don't have a hot take on it as far as like, is it dangerous? Is it going to take over the world? I don't really think that's the conversation. I think for me, it's more of just like, it's so uninteresting what, like, it takes all the humanity out of the humanities. And I just don't really get why people are like, hell yeah, man. we got ChatGPT is going to change everything. It's like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. It's strange.
I love that perspective. I think for me, it's what's fascinating is that I'm so into technology that I'm intrigued by it inherently. Like, how is this possible? How is it able to do what it's doing, right? And then the other side of it is that I've been deliberately taking time to kind of ask questions, have conversations with other people, and actually think through, the scenarios of if things continue on the path that it is. And what you just mentioned is definitely like a major thing. Like the creators out there like us, I have no idea what it's gonna look like years from now, but I just feel like it's just it's a lot to process for me
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, it's a ton, and it's happening very quickly with no real.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I was trying to say earlier. Is like, it's weird to me that there's not more, and maybe they're working on it, but it feels like there should be some government oversight into technology like this becoming so prevalent, and like,
Right.
it's a whole slew of issues with copyright stuff. Like, have you listened to like AI Drake and like AI? Have you
Sure.
seen
Oh
those
my
videos?
goodness.
It's like.
Yeah, I have.
Like, imagine if that was you. Like, and I know Drake has way bigger fish to fry, but like,
Right, right.
it's on a base level, it's unsettling. But like beyond
Yeah.
that, it's like, how is that not a huge infringement of your like,
Right,
your
right.
like rights? It's very weird. Like, it's just strange. I'm sure there will be like laws and whatnot, but at some point. But it does seem crazy that anyone could just be like, here's a Drake song that Drake didn't write, and it sounds exactly like him, and
Yeah.
it's
wild.
It's bizarre. Yeah.
I'll leave you with this, bro.
Yes.
Or I should say dog. I'll leave you with this, dog. So whenever I haven't played Smash Brothers in a long time for whatever reason.
I like where this is going. Though.
You had no idea it was like going to go just back to Smash Brothers.
I didn't. No.
I had to say this, and I don't know why, but like, so I haven't played in a while. But whenever I was playing regularly and I'm playing online, the one and this is not like trash talking, it's just foreshadowing potentially. But
Okay.
the one character that I always would be like, whenever I see that character come up against my Wii Fit trainer, I'm like, I love my chances. It's Donkey Kong. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
But that matchup, like, I love facing off against Donkey Kong so much.
Well, he's gigantic. You can beat his ass. Like, anyway, you see that he has the biggest hitboxes, man.
Yeah, bro. He is mass. He's absolutely massive. All right, so that I'm excited for that, and bro, absolutely. You know, at sometime this spring/summer, like, I'll make it out to the city. We'll schedule some time. I'd love to
Would love that.
meet up, and I mean, the opportunities are endless.
Yeah. This was a
sure.
really enjoyable conversation, man. You're very good at this, and
Thank you, man.
It's just a treat to chat with someone like yourself.
Bro, pleasure was all mine. I truly enjoyed this. Eric is going to really love it. I can't wait to share this with him. Hopefully others do as well. Hope you have a awesome rest of your day, and we'll do this again soon in person.
All right, you too, man. Take care.